Howdy, gang. It's already time for another update. I can't believe a month has already gone by. It's crazy to think about. Sometimes it's funny, all you have to do is sit around for a long enough period of time and start to put the pieces together of a story that you've had in your mind for years, but you didn't realize it was even there. One of the things that I like to do is I'll take pieces of a story, I'll start to write the thing out, parts that I do know, and after a while the rest of it just kind of fills itself in. It starts to evolve in a different fashion than you ever planned. Things start to come together, things start to fall apart. That's why I say to people, when you're writing, just go for it right beginning to end. If you can, start to tie the themes together afterwards. It really does behoove you to do so. One of the strangest things that happens is the themes start to appear by themselves, and you didn't even recognize that they were there before. You might not recognize them until you've written the whole thing out. Sometimes I don't even title things I've written until they're done, and I know that I'm not alone in that regard. A lot of writers work that way. Kind of come up with themes after they've written or animated or created or otherwise filmed something that they really like. One of the crazy things that's happened is we've taken a step back in a lot of the level design, and I'm kind of pushing the story more than the level itself. This is especially weird because I've come up with these bosses, and I love to make boss battles. I think you guys have read several things that I've written on this blog about boss fights and things. Several of the bosses are starting to really come together, and their mechanics are coming together, as well as the creatures and various inhabitants of the specific worlds that they inhabit, and everything kind of just mishmashes together. It's kind of it's really weird how that just decided to happen by itself. Nothing really came to mind when I was doing these boss battles story-wise. Nothing came to mind story-wise with the boss battles until they were done. In a large sense, sometimes the mechanics of a boss fight or the mechanics of an enemy fight or just the level in general is going to inspire some kind of story for it. And I think game design is really unique in that way. You know, you can read a piece that you've written and you can kind of put yourself into it, and that feels good or feels believable, or it doesn't. But with a game, once you've experienced something, the kind of feeling of being involved to that level, of making the decisions and changing the outcomes, it really kind of brings out a whole new dimension in storytelling. And I think that's where maybe not a lot of my initial ideas come from, but a lot of my tertiary ideas certainly come from, a lot of my afterthoughts, and a lot of the cleanup of a game after it gets to a certain point revolves around going back in and making sure that anything that you've created to that point still ties back into what you've already made. So you get a new idea, and that's all well and good, but you got to make sure that you haven't already said something within the story that's kind of changed since then and doesn't make sense now that you've put that in. So with the bosses, a lot of them are going to be really difficult, and I've had to create some power-ups to kind of level that, and it's brought with it the challenge of figuring out how these get acquired, when they get acquired, what point is it going to be obvious that the game is going to say, okay, this is for this, and you know that now, or you know, at what point is it not going to be obvious, where you get something and you think you've got a use for it, and better yet, it comes along and is actually needed for another purpose, or more to the point, maybe it makes your life easier to use it for another purpose you weren't thinking of. I want a lot of Harmonic to be kind of still with the idea of non-linear, choose your own adventure. I want you to be able to discover things like that. I think that really drives home the feeling of choice. There's going to be a lot coming in the next weeks. That's going to be artwork and other things that I won't be able to show a finished product for a while. Artwork, it takes the longest time. And this background programming with these stories and these new story ideas, that's pretty quick to write up and put in there. I've got a lot of macros already created, so that stuff is absolutely easy. I feel like right now I'm in this endless cycle of skinning things, which is actually supposed to be the fun part, where the creativity just comes out, and you can really have fun designing a boss, making it look super creepy, or making an enemy and coming up with its move set and coming up with these ideas for attacks and power-ups and all that stuff. But it's a lot. It is so much stuff, and it is so much work, but it's fun, it's challenging, it's exciting. That's about all I've got for this time around. I hope to show you guys some more stuff next month that might be a little bit more visually appealing than just sitting here and telling you about what I'm trying to accomplish. So until then, take care.